Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we're going to be bullying IGN a little bit, I guess. I mean, that's pretty much what any type of criticism is considered now, so IGN got themselves into a pretty big amount of controversy over on Twitter after they, I guess, self-reported in a way. They basically told everybody that they don't really pay anything for articles, and today's video is going to be a great example as to why gaming journalism, and probably journalism as a whole, has just gone downhill, man. I mean, you look at like Kotaku and a lot of these other outlets that write for video games and are supposed to be writing for gamers, they've completely fallen through the floor, man. Like, the quality of their articles has completely and significantly declined over the last few years. What they're saying in these articles oftentimes is just controversial and ridiculous. And as a result, a lot of these companies have been laying staff off, firing them, downsizing in a lot of different ways. And, you know, they wonder why that happens. They wonder why they can't find anybody great to write for them anymore. Wondering why their product sucks and why everybody's just against them now. And this is a great example as to why that happens, right? So, you know, before this whole thing happened, when I was thinking of like what a gaming journalist would make, I'm thinking that these are supposed to be college educated journalists that are writing for these people, right? Like, these people went to school and learned about journalism and they're supposed to be like masters at this job. But it turns out that's not even the case. IGN is literally hiring anyone and everyone to come write articles for them, and at that, they can't even pay a pretty good rate. IGN is looking for new freelancers to assist with the daily flow of stories in games, entertainment, tech, and science. $20 base rate per story, sliding scale for heavier reporting, DM with an introduction and portfolio for details. Yeah, sorry about that, cat. I don't think I'm going to be DMing with an introduction and portfolio for details. This is insane. So my question is, why would literally anyone want to do this? I mean, this is a pathetically low pay scale. Like, I hope you guys realize that. Those of you watching this video, I hope you realize that an IGN article is easily worth more than $20 to this company. This is one of the biggest gaming news outlets in the world. IGN is one of the sources that you're gonna look forward to when you're like researching video games and things like that. At least it's supposed to be. That's the position it's supposed to have been in for a while now. As we all know, gaming journalism sites and stuff, they've been on a pretty rapid decline recently. And this is just a really good example as to why that is. I mean, because, like, would you write an entire article for IGN for $20? That is like the base pay for a story. And no, that's not per hour. Also, might I add, they're just paying you $20 up front. I guarantee there's no hourly pay or anything like that. Because once you get into that, it's a whole different situation. Then they got to consider you an employee and they got to pay taxes and stuff like that. Now, you already know they're trying to consider everybody an independent contractor doing this. So they're paying you $20. If they were paying $20 an hour, low key, I would almost consider writing that as like a side hustle, right? I'd write an article talking about video games, get that 500-word Optimus article out. Honestly, it probably wouldn't even be that hard because I'm pretty certain I could write better articles than a lot of the people writing this shit anyway. But the reason I think that is because these people are getting paid fucking $20 for an article. But keep in mind, it's a sliding scale for heavier reporting. So I guess if you do more work, you put more effort into an article, more research, you'll get a little bit more. So they had to clarify, of course, this pay scale because everybody on Twitter started roasting them. Everyone was making fun of them. Everybody was shitting on them for this because it's ridiculous, man. But they ended up tweeting out the actual pay scale here. Let's take a look at that. So $20 for basic news aggregation, $50 for slightly more involved stories, like, you know, finding us a fun company or community angle that's not sourced from another outlet, social media, and $300 and up for in-depth multi-source reporting. So I guess if you like put work into it, you can make $300, but you got to consider how much work that you're actually doing to get this kind of paycheck. So a basic news aggregation, let's go through these and kind of talk about them individually. Basic news aggregation, you know, you can basically go to like one of their competitors like Kotaku and base your article off of their article, right? You can basically just be a copycat. But even then, putting in the work to do that for $20 is fucking ridiculous. That's just way too low. I mean, you could not pay me $20 to sit there for 3 hours and, you know, recuperate information from other companies' articles for IGN. For the same 3 hours that you can put into doing that, you can literally make your own YouTube video, upload it to your channel, and if you upload consistently enough and like keep at it, you might actually turn it into a full-fledged career where you can make thousands of dollars per month. That's literally what I do. Like, a lot of my videos could be this basic news aggregation because I'm taking these other sources and I could flip it for $20. No, fuck that. I'm making a 12-minute YouTube video that's going to get 100,000 views, gain me subscribers, build my own platform, and make way more money in the process. This is literally a garbage tier payment, you know? Like, you cannot pay people this and expect to get good work. Now, 50 bucks, that's more involved, you know, your personal opinion or whatever, you can't really base it off of like other companies' stuff, but you put a little more effort into it that way, right? You spend a few more hours on it that way, right? Still, 50 bucks for something like that? What? You can't even source it from another outlet, so you have to like do all of the reporting yourself basically and like figure out everything yourself for 50 bucks. And 300 and up for in-depth multi-source reporting, so I guess depending on how quality your article is or whatever at that point, you can get 300, you can get 500, whatever it may be. That's a little bit better, but I mean, even then, that's considering the fact I don't know how much time it would take to report something like this, to create an article like this. But even then, that's not even close to what their competitors will pay. So I've never heard of this group before, but it's called Boardbox. They ended up having their CEO tweet something underneath this that says, if anyone wants to freelance for @Boardbox, we'll pay 800 and up per article. So you can literally get almost 3 times the amount of money that you can get at the highest tier for IGN to go report for these guys. Now, obviously, they're not even close to the size of IGN. IGN is literally owned by another company. That's how big it is. And that company, from what I understand, has had some pretty good financial years in the past few years. So the smaller competitors can pay multiple times more than what IGN can pay. I wanted to do a little experiment here too and break this down, right? Let's say you have 2 career choices in mind. Either A, you can write for IGN, or B, you can work at McDonald's. Most people would, like on instinct, say, oh, I'd rather write for IGN. You know, you get to write about video games. But if you're actually like trying to make a living, you really might be better off working at McDonald's than being a fucking journalist for this company. Let's assume that you spend 2 hours working on a basic news aggregation article. You know, you find your sources, you basically copy your article, you upload it and let it get read and stuff like that, then it gets published. You spend 2 hours working on it. That could be conservative, that could be way over the top. I don't know how much time it really would take, but I have actually a little bit of writing experience. I wrote for Drama Alert, I wrote a few articles for them. Personally, I spent about an hour and a half to 2 hours writing pretty basic articles for them. They weren't the greatest articles that have ever been written, but of course it's not my day job, so that's what I'm kind of basing that on. So that would be $10 an hour before taxes. That's not even minimum wage anymore, bro. They're trying to make minimum wage like $15 an hour here in the United States, right? On a federal level. McDonald's, like in my area, you can literally walk in there today and get a job at $16 an hour. So you can make almost the same amount of money in an hour's work at McDonald's that you can for writing an article for IGN. And yet everyone is wondering why all these gaming journalism companies have all fallen off the face of the fucking planet, why they all suck now. Because they don't pay anybody anything to write anything. And they're also just letting anyone come and write. These are just random people, freelancers, that are coming in to write these articles. These aren't established journalists or anything like that. These are people that just like, hey, fuck it, you want to write something? Here's 20 bucks. Like, that is embarrassing for a company this size. And honestly, IGN should be ashamed because they're out here really trying to get people to work for them at these kinds of fucking prices. You cheapskates, you can't pay a little more? I don't know, man. This is just ridiculous to me. Like, I can never imagine working for that little. That's just fucking absurd to me. I mean, I would 100%, I would rather work at McDonald's flipping Big Macs for basically more money at the end of the day than to write horse shit for IGN that nobody's gonna like, you know? Like, it just doesn't come off as something for me. So I also found somebody who's in the journalism world that tweeted about this whole thing that I thought was a pretty interesting comparison and everything here. This person, according to their Twitter bio, has been writing about video games since 1983. That is impressive. Nearly 40 years in a field? At that point, I consider you an expert. Here's what they had to say. Interesting to see that leading publisher IGN's freelance rate for a basic article is now $20 for roughly 200 words. Comparatively, when I started writing 37 years ago, I got about 40 cents per word. So I would have earned $80 for the same work. Almost 4 decades ago. Yeah, and that was when video games weren't even close to the size and magnitude that they are now. The video game industry has grown ridiculously since that point. This is just not acceptable, man. IGN, you guys got to be ashamed for this shit, man. So, with that being said, though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch @SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, not writing for IGN, not even close, and signing out.